creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
أخطر عصابتين في العالم MS-13 وباريو 18 كلهم هون. شوف الأوشم اللي فيها.
You know, El Salvador used to be a war zone, nightmare, but now it's safe. Gotta give it up to President Nayib Bukele, the best president in the world. He even paid the country debt trading with cryptocurrency. Smart man.
She's my 6th patient this month with a hole in her intestine. You need to stop drinking these now. One is linked to ADHD, type 2 diabetes, and memory loss. Another contains artificial sweeteners like sucralose, which can cause brain fog and kidney damage, and energy drinks packed with preservatives that increase the risk of heart disease, obesity, and blood clots. Research shows that consuming these additives daily can seriously harm your health. Instead, try liquid chlorophyll. It boosts energy, detoxifies, and supports gut health. I always recommend Benevolent to my patients because it actually works. You can find the exact same one through the orange TikTok shop link below.
It's advertising. By the way, where's the FDA?
A young man died in agony after the price of his inhaler rose from $66 to $540. Cole Schmidtneck, 22, died on January 21, 2024, following a fatal asthma attack on January 15th after being unable to afford his inhaler. On January 10th, after visiting a Walgreens pharmacy in Appleton, Wisconsin, he was informed that his prescription had skyrocketed from $66 to $540 with no prior notice.
And Cole was forced to choose between his medication and his rent. He chose to pay his rent.
Walgreens had suddenly refused to cover his usual prescription under insurance after OptumRx changed its policy in the fall of 2023. Unable to pay, Cole left without his inhaler and struggled for 5 days before suffering a fatal asthma attack. Emergency responders found Cole unconscious and blue. Despite attempts to save him, he was pronounced dead, and his parents made the painful decision to remove life support on January 21st. Now they are suing OptumRx, Walgreens, and Walgreens Boots Alliance. They are seeking damages for negligence and wrongful death.
Cole had his whole life ahead of him. Because Cole was forced to choose between paying his rent or shelling out hundreds of dollars to cover his medication out of pocket for a drug that did not need to be that expensive, his family is without their loved one.
Cole was reportedly given no warning about the insurance coverage change, which violates Wisconsin state law requiring 30 days notice.
What kind of inhaler costs $540? I think America is against their own people's health. Oh man. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh, look at that. Oh. They are better than people.
He has agreed to accept for deportation any illegal alien in the United States who is a criminal from any nationality, be they MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, and house them in his jails. He has offered to house in his jails dangerous American criminals in custody in our country, including those of U.S. citizenship and legal residence.
People are about to start behaving. The giant of Atacama Desert. No way. Oh, rabbit. Follow the rabbit. So basically, Trump knows exactly what he's doing.
We ended up putting a Ring camera under there that had a light on it, and found out that we have a giant bear in our crawl space. So it was a little nerve-wracking for a while.
Sammy Arbid tells us the giant bear, who is known by some neighbors as Barry the Bear and by others as Victor the Bear, lives just around the corner in Eaton Canyon, which is where the Eaton fire started just over 3 weeks ago.
I think during the fire, he pretty much stayed in there. I think he was scared.
SoCal gas crews were apparently scared too. They couldn't access the meter to turn the gas back on after the fire once they found the bear hanging out right here in the crawl space. So the California Department of Fish and Wildlife set up a trap that was apparently too tempting to ignore.
So they went to Stater Brothers and bought some rotisserie chicken and sardines and tomato sauce, apples and peanut butter and all kinds of stuff. They made a feast for him.
Thankfully, that sweet and savory platter lured this big guy out like a charm. Arbid says the experts decided to trap the bear after determining he was probably too fat to tranquilize. Once removed, he weighed in at a whopping 525 pounds.
The biologist actually said it's the biggest bear he's ever seen in person.
Neighbors are happy to hear that the bear's okay and had a good meal.
He's very harmless. He just wants some good trash, like we all like some good trash.
He's not fat, he's fluffy.
If you haven't yet, go and scroll through World Talk, search it up here, watch every single one of those videos, let them play twice if you have to, and this is gonna adjust your algorithm so you start being shown videos of world news and things that matter to you and not just things that don't.
You know, I have realized that USA has a very sheltered perception of the world. Oh. No. How many babies she has? There was 4. That's 4. Another one. Please tell me you took mom and the babies home.
Скажи. Baby, you hungry? Say yeah.
Do you want water? Here. Do you want this? You have to move.
You having zoomies? Yeah, you have zoomies.
I love you. Oh, I love you too.
I guess hungry?
Hey, you demanding.
Are you hungry?
Oh,
How about some tuna? Do you want to eat? Okay.
Yeah. Hey.
I like the first one. Is this Mexico? Oh, Los Angeles.
For us to be here today is not so much an act of rebellion or an act of anger or even rage, but it's more so in solidarity.
We need immigrants in this country. Immigrants are some of the most hardworking people.
Sí se puede! Sí se puede!
If we stand up for the people who need help and for our communities, we show them that they cannot overpower us.
Let me know how you feel about this, folks.
This is Auschwitz 1 where I am right now. I'm in between 2 fence lines here. These were electrified barbed wire fences to keep people imprisoned. This was part of the largest killing center for the Nazis. We're talking cramped bunks where you had 2 people in a bed. This is now a museum and a memorial and proof of the Nazis' crimes 80 years ago. Things you see here are heartbreaking. There are piles of eyeglasses, piles of shoes, there are suitcases, there are clothes. We can show all of that on camera, but what we can't show are the piles of human hair. The braids that make you think these were little girls' hair, shaved from their heads. This is what's left of one of the crematoria and one of the gas chambers. The Nazis tried to destroy proof of what they'd done, but they could not get rid of all the evidence. This is where hundreds of thousands of people were brought on train cars like these. These are cattle cars. There's no bathroom. They weren't given any food. They spent days on here. And when they arrived, they did not know that most of them were about to be murdered. They did what's called a selection here. The SS, a special group of Nazis, would figure out who was going to live and who was going to die immediately. Children, the elderly, disabled, killed. If you were old enough, strong enough to work, you might be selected to live. Of the roughly 1 million Jews who were killed at Auschwitz, about 900,000 were immediately sent to the gas chambers. They didn't have a chance to work. They didn't have a chance to try to live. Heads of state are visiting, including including King Charles, but they are not being given an opportunity to speak. This is about hearing from the survivors while we still can.
And to think this was only 80 years ago? Crazy.
Is this what evil looks like? The grotesque gang responsible for Scotland's biggest child sex abuse ring. The paedophiles who organised regular nights to rape children.
What?
Now behind bars, here they are, unmasked one by one. The heroin addicts who laughed as their innocent victims were sexually abused on an industrial scale after being plied with alcohol and cocaine. Branded monsters, this is the filthy drug den that was swarming with rapists here in Glasgow, where a youngster was shoved in a microwave and oven,
What?
where older children were forced to sexually abuse the youngest as adults watched, to the horror of those who thought they knew them.
The two ringleaders I know, they've stayed up in my flat and whatever. It's just disgusting.
They've stayed in your flat?
Some of them, I just hope they'll get the key thrown away, honestly.
This was the largest prosecution of its kind in Scottish history, raising significant issues about what the authorities knew. The court heard that there had been concerns about the children for several years before action was taken, and that is now at the centre of a major review announced more than a year ago, but is yet to deliver any answers about what's been called a disgusting and disgraceful scandal. There are only two questions left here. Why did these children suffer such terror, such a miserable existence? And are the authorities capable of change to prevent history repeating itself?
That's crazy. But justice will be done.
Breaking news now, and a passenger plane with almost 200 people on board has erupted in flames as it was set to depart from an airport in South Korea. The blaze destroyed the Air Busan plane, the dramatic fire captured as you can see on video. All 169 passengers and 7 crew members managed to escape on the jet's evacuation slides. Only a few people suffered minor injuries. It comes 4 weeks after a Boeing passenger jet crashed at a different airport in South Korea, killing all but 2 people on board.
Stop. This is not normal. What's going on?
What year will we be watching you at the Olympics?
Probably 2032. I have no idea.
I'll be watching.
Thank you.
It's hard now to hear her voice. 3 years ago, Gina Hahn spoke with our Michael Rosenfield while she and her fellow figure skaters watched the Olympics here at the Skating Club of Boston. Gina was just 10 years old and in 4th grade. Her bubbly, effervescent personality came through as she described her love of figure skating. Gina had a promising future in skating herself. This video of her from U.S. figure skating is from just a couple of months ago.
Gina is our star skater. Her nickname was Gina Starina, like a star.
Gina had Olympic dreams herself, even back in 2022.
I really want to go to the Olympics step by step and trying to have my best opportunity to go to the Olympics and try to get a gold medal.
You know, all early death is bad, but when you see young talented people pass before their prime, it is really saddening.
Okay, so some of you may have seen this reporting that Nancy Pelosi sold off millions of dollars worth of Nvidia stock just weeks before DeepSeek caused the entire market to totally freak out. What can I say? She's a great trader and we hate her because
Wall Street.
But interestingly, what I haven't seen very much reporting on at all is the fact that Nancy Pelosi invested into another AI stock just a couple weeks ago. It's a company called Tempest AI, and she invested on January 14th. Okay, remember that date. Just 1 day later, on January 15th, Tempest AI launches some new product that they just got FDA approval for. And subsequently, the stock explodes, and it doesn't really even tank, even amidst the DeepSeek AI apocalypse. Like I said, she's very good at her job. But what is Tempest AI? Well, it is a technology company that uses artificial intelligence to improve healthcare. And they say that their mission is to make sure patients are on the right drug at the right time. And they work with all these providers, the main one being oncology, aka cancer treatments. But wait, wasn't somebody just talking about cancer treatments just a few days ago? Oh yeah, this.
So imagine early cancer detection
the development of a cancer vaccine for your particular cancer aimed at you, and have that vaccine available in 48 hours. This is the promise of AI and the promise of the future.
Okay, look, I'm going to be transparent.
Bingo.
I can't claim to know exactly what's going on here. But what I can say is that based on the way the stock market is moving, the market is pricing in America's future as one that is filled with disease and sickness. And usually the market doesn't lie.
Best example of inside trading. What?
Holy f***. Almost just f***ing died, boys.
Man, this is getting suspicious, folks.
Amalfi Jets is calling.
My name's Sebastian. I'm looking to book a flight. I'm in Geneva at the moment.
Okay.
I'll need to be in Maldives by tomorrow afternoon. Are you familiar with McKenna? We're good friends. We go way back. We go to the same boarding school, but I'm taking a trip to Maldives.
Yeah, I am familiar with McKenna. But yeah, I mean, I can definitely help you get there. So we can leave tomorrow from Geneva to the Maldives nonstop on a heavy jet at the Global Express sitting at $105,000 for the one way.
I need something exceptional, right? Sleek, modern, classy. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing economical or anything like that.
The Global Express is sleek, modern, and elegant in all ways. Are you currently flying private?
I only fly private.
Got it.
One thing as well, I'm sorry.
Only
Let me
flying
be clear
private.
about the interior, right?
Okay.
I don't want anything resembling a budget flight. I need Italian leather, real wood paneling,
okay,
and a personal chef on board.
Personal chef. I mean, there's
You got
a
it.
flight attendant on board. Is that good?
So as long as it's 5-star service, then that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, the flight attendants are fantastic. They always provide 5-star service. Now, I actually am looking here, and I actually do have a Legacy 1000 available. So it's like a full like commercial airline turned into a private jet. This seats up to 18. This one has a full king-size bed, a shower. So I think this is kind of what you're describing.
Oh yes, that's amazing. Can you make the blankets cashmere as well?
Yeah. Most of the time you're using like Hermes cashmere blankets, which is pretty nice. Cost here on this one is $133,000.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Great. Sending you over this booking link now. I made the note regarding the onboard flight attendant, cashmere blankets. All will be set up, and we look forward to meeting you there. I'll let McKenna know you called. That sounds great. I appreciate her recommending us.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds good, man. I appreciate your help.
Cool. Cheers. Have a good one. Sounds like McKenna's spreading the love. Love it when she does that.
McKenna's friends living the dream. Private jets, cashmere blankets, Maldives vibes.
Once you hear this story, you will never question anything that happens in your life ever again. Please allow me to read. There once was a man who wanted to please the Creator as much as he could. He prayed day and night until finally, a voice spoke from the unseen spiritual world and said to him, "I want you to go and push a stone." The man woke up the next morning full of enthusiasm. He ran out and found a huge boulder down the road from his home. Immediately, he began pushing it, but nothing happened. The next morning, he woke up and pushed the boulder again. Still, nothing happened. This man woke up every morning for 3 months straight and diligently pushed the boulder with all his might, yet nothing ever happened. With each failed attempt, the man became more upset by his inability to move the boulder even a single centimeter. Finally, when the 4th month arrived, the man said to himself, "The heck with this, that darn boulder isn't going anywhere, and I don't understand what this whole thing is about." Then the man had another dream in which he spoke to the voice from heaven, saying, "I don't know what you want from me. I tried everything you said, and nothing's happened." The Creator replied, "Why did you stop?" The man answered, "Because nothing happened." God said, "What do you mean nothing happened? Look at you. Look at how strong you are, how determined and focused you are. Look how powerful your muscles are. You are no longer the person you were when you started to push the stone. You have changed."
Wow.
That's what happened. And besides, I didn't tell you to move the stone. I told you to push the stone. I'll move the stone when it's time.
That's good. Isaiah 60:22. Look it up.
In 1966, scientists conducted an experiment where they placed 5 monkeys in a room. In the room, they set up a ladder with some bananas on top. Whenever one of the monkeys climbed the ladder to get the bananas, the scientists sprayed the rest of the monkeys with cold water. The monkey would come down and the water would stop. When another monkey tried to climb, the cold water would be sprayed again. Eventually, when any monkey tried to climb the ladder, the others would beat him up to stop it. Then, the scientists replaced one of the monkeys with a new one. The new monkey, unaware of the cold water, tried to climb the ladder but was immediately beaten by the other monkeys. He learned that climbing the ladder led to a beating, though he didn't know why. As the experiment continued, the scientists replaced all the original monkeys one by one. Each new monkey was beaten when it tried to climb the ladder, even though none of them had ever experienced the cold water. By the end, all the original monkeys were gone, the cold water had stopped, but none of the remaining monkeys would try to climb the ladder, nor would they let any other monkey do so. This behavior had become a tradition even though none of them knew why.
Even human will act the same.
This one Chinese app single-handedly wiped $1 trillion from the US stock market yesterday and sent shockwaves around the world. But just a couple of days ago, hardly anyone even knew its name. Today, however, it's being called a Sputnik moment, referring to the day that Russia became the first country in the world to send a satellite into space and marking the beginning of the infamous space race. So here's why even Trump is calling this a wake-up call. You see, 8 years ago, Vladimir Putin said something that has become a commonly used phrase. Whoever controls the future of AI controls the world. And for years, experts have been saying that China is years behind America when it comes to artificial intelligence. And low-key, the US government kind of could take a little credit for that. Because 3 years ago, they banned Nvidia, the world's leading AI chip maker, from selling to China. And that was meant to ensure America's global dominance of AI. But kind of like the TikTok ban, it looks like that might have massively backfire. You see, necessity breeds innovation. So this small, relatively unknown research lab in China was forced to rethink everything from the ground up. And the result? They managed to create an AI model that is just as good, if not even better, than OpenAI's most advanced model, and here's the kicker, for 90% less of the cost. OpenAI spends $5 billion a year, and it took $100 million just to train GPT-4, while the DeepSeek project cost $5.5 million. That is so staggeringly cheap that a lot of people refuse to even believe it. Bro, just a few days ago, some of the biggest US tech companies invested over $500 billion in just AI data centers. And then they see China creating this for less than $6 million? Of course the US stock markets would crash. In fact, Nvidia lost close to $600 billion in market cap, becoming the biggest drop for any company in a single day in US history. Oh, but DeepSeek? They did one more thing. They not only dropped this AI for free, while OpenAI is charging $200 a month, but they also dropped it open source, meaning anyone, anywhere can access the code, improve it, adapt it, and even use it to build their own AI models for free. And that is insanely ironic because OpenAI is closed, while DeepSeek is now literally OpenAI. This caused so much disruption that after they shot to #1 in the App Store, they were forced to temporarily limit user registrations due to large-scale malicious attacks on their services. And just like that, all of us, we just witnessed an inflection point where the race to create the world's most advanced AI just got freaking serious. And that is scary.
Things we experienced in the 90s that kids today will never experience. The 90s TV cabinet. I remember you had to push on the glass doors to open them. Remember watching the pipe screensaver? Having 100 of these discs scattered around your house. I can feel them and even taste them. All of mine had bite marks. I was young and hungry, what can I say? The old volume bar. That looks a little too loud, turn it down a bit. Remember the visualizer in Windows Media Player? I'd spend hours just staring at it. This is what's missing today. Can we please bring back visualizers and Winamp? The clear craze of the 80s and 90s when everything was clear. From staplers and phones to Game Boys. I'm actually okay with bringing that trend back. I'm not a broke kid anymore, but these super cool styles are gone now. Burning the sickest CDs in the neighborhood. Do you remember these things? If you did any of them, you're getting old.
Yup, I'm old.
If you're...
The visualizer needs to be brought back.
planning to drink, you can do things like take glutathione, which is a commonly available supplement that makes alcohol not harm your liver. You could take a probiotic that cancels out alcohol, which is kind of cool. That's available commercially as well. And you can take activated charcoal, which everyone listening should be taking. Activated charcoal is available online all over the place. And this binds to toxins in food, man-made or just because it's been sitting out for a long time. You will have less hangover if you take activated charcoal, and you'll have less gas and bloating from whatever it is you decide to eat. So if you're going to eat junk food or a lot of food, activated charcoal will really help you feel better the next day and not be reactive that night.
Does charcoal take every vitamins and minerals from food?
Should you eat McDonald's French fries even once in a while? After you hear this, I think you'll say no. Okay, first of all, you can see how perfectly white they are because they allow no blemish in their potatoes. Oh yeah, not one blemish. And how they accomplish that? They get rid of this little aphid that is the guy that causes this, and they spray it with one of the most toxic pesticides on the planet. After the farmer sprays it, he can't be in the field for 5 days. Oh, after they harvest them, it has to go in a special atmosphere controlled environment for 6 weeks. That's how toxic it is. It's not safe to eat. Guess how many chemicals or guess how many ingredients I found in this? Oh, not one, potatoes. Potatoes are one of the 11 that I found, but I had to write them down. Vegetable oil, which consists of soybean oil, canola oil, corn oil, and which are horrible for you, by the way. Natural beef flavors, not so natural. It's hydrolyzed wheat and hydrolyzed milk. Horrible for you. Wheat, milk derivatives, dextrose, sodium, acid, and pyrophosphate and salt. 11 plus ingredients and a load of chemicals. I don't suggest it.
Then how can they legally do this?
This is China's biggest scam. They inject egg liquid into crabs to simulate crab roe and sell it at a high price. Customers who don't know the truth rush to buy it. When the crabs grow, workers immediately catch them. Then they inject egg liquid into the crabs according to a certain ratio. They are trying to imitate a rare type of crab, butter crab. This type of crab is extremely rare and cannot be farmed artificially. When the green crabs are exposed to the sun, the roe inside melts into oil. The oil then permeates throughout the crab. Due to this seepage, the butter crab turns a rich golden color. It's said that only 1 in 1,000 green crabs can transform into a butter crab. Such a precious ingredient is cooked very differently from regular crabs. When cooking, the chef must ensure that no part of the butter crab has any cracks. If there's a crack, the oil will leak out. To ensure the butter crab stays intact, people freeze it in ice water before cooking. After 10 minutes, they flip the crab and put it in a steamer. This method helps prevent the crab oil from leaking out. Once cut open, the golden crab roe bursts out. Even the crab meat is filled with golden roe. Taking a bite, the taste of crab fills your mouth with a smooth, grainy texture. The lingering aftertaste carries a pine nut-like oil aroma.
He is the last person in the world who relies on an iron lung to survive, and he has lived in it for 71 years. Once he leaves, he will suffocate because he cannot breathe, and power outages are even more fatal. In 1952, 6-year-old Paul Alexander was infected with polio, and the virus destroyed his motor nerves and lungs. Doctors placed him in an iron lung, which helps breathing through changes in air pressure. From then on, he could only move with his mouth. The biggest flaw of the iron lung is that it cannot be powered off. Once the power is off, the user will suffocate due to lack of oxygen. Paul said that his life is no different from that of ordinary people, getting up early, washing and eating breakfast. He likes to read and study, and the cleaning holes on the side of the iron lung help solve daily needs. It is admirable that at the age of 40, Paul passed the bar exam, became a professional lawyer, and wrote a 150-page memoir recording his extraordinary life.
Did you know that if you peel
Rest in peace, Paul.
some ginger, chop it up and add it to a blender, and you take some turmeric, chop it up and add it to a blender, and you take some lemons, slice them and juice them into the blender, and you take some raw honey and add it into the blender, and you take some water and add it to the blender, and you blend it on high, and then strain it and add it to an ice cube tray and freeze it overnight. Then you will have the best morning digestion cubes. Just add these to a mug and pour some hot water over, and you have the perfect drink to kickstart your morning.
Add black pepper to activate the turmeric.
Also just got our hands on a memo out of the Rio Grande Valley sector that actually says that, this is kind of crazy here, that the cartels authorize the use of weaponized drones, explosives against CBP personnel and U.S. law enforcement down there at the southern border. Now, they're actually being encouraged, of course, to remain cognizant and vigilant, but they're also being encouraged to use their long arms, Blake. I have never seen this in a CBP memo before. They say, wear your ballistic gear, yes, but they're telling them, hey, have your long arms. Yes, they are saying, watch out for these weaponized drones. We've seen a lot of infighting with two different factions of the cartel down in Tamaulipas, that is on the south side of the border in the Rio Grande Valley, and they have like an all-out war happening between these cartel factions. So they are warning now that they might be using these weaponized drones against U.S. personnel on this side. So definitely cause for concern there.
Wow. Does Mexico really want to do this?
This is the most expensive fried rice at a Michelin restaurant. It costs a whopping $199. It's even called golden fried rice. But here's the catch. It doesn't actually contain any gold or any pricey ingredients. What's crazy is that it's ranked the #1 fried rice in the world. The reason it's called golden is because every time the chef makes this fried rice, he uses 100 eggs. He mixes the eggs with the rice and stirs continuously until the egg mixture evenly coats each grain of rice. Once the egg coats the rice, the heat from the wok begins to cook the egg, forming delicate golden layers as the egg gradually solidifies. The smell of eggs fills the air, and the sizzling steam is simply irresistible. The rice absorbs the egg's smooth, sweet flavor, becoming fuller and more flavorful. Although the ingredients for egg fried rice are simple, every detail is meticulously planned by the chef. First, he uses day-old rice because it's less sticky and easier to fry up light and fluffy. Then, each grain of rice is coated with egg, and the outer layer gets a faint, crispy golden shell. When you take a bite, the rice on the outside is soft, while the inside retains a slight bounce. It's not too wet nor too dry. To top it off, a sprinkle of green onions, pepper, or other seasonings makes the flavor even richer and more savory, giving it a subtle saltiness or a nice crunch. Would you like to give it a try?
I think it's called The Other Side of the Box.
No, I never heard of it.
You haven't?
Nah.
Okay, yo, pause the video and go watch it if you don't want me to spoil it, because I'm gonna spoil it, right?
Yeah.
So there was this guy, right? So imagine your boy comes into your house at midnight with a present, and it's a box, right? And he tells you, he's like, oh, I want you to open it in front of me.
Yeah.
So you open it, it's just an empty box. As soon as you open it, he goes, oh,
sorry.
Oh, I gotta leave. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I gotta go.
That's all he says, fam, after you open it. So you take this. So the guy in the movie, he takes the box to the table, and he's like, what the f this box? So he takes a pencil, and he drops it, and he notices that it's a never-ending box, right?
Oh, so it just keeps dropping in.
Yeah, so he threw a pencil in, it's gone,
Yeah.
right? So he also finds a note that his friend, that same friend that left him, and it wrote, I had to give it to someone.
I know
it can't move while you're watching, and whatever you do, don't take your eyes off it.
Take your eyes off what?
The box.
Oh.
So him and his wife, they look at each other.
Yeah.
And then they look back at the box, and there's a guy. Oh, there's a head. There's a head like this popping out.
I think I seen a clip now.
I think I know what you're talking about. And then he tries it again because he doesn't believe it that he would this shit would actually work. So he turns away again. He looks back, and now it's slowly creeping out the box. And you know how that shit ends. I'm not gonna spoil it completely.
It's called Other Side of the Box. It's a short film on YouTube. Turmeric. That's crazy, man. so he kills it. I believe we have been lied to about everything.
I'm not technically supposed to tell you this, so if something happens to me, then you'll obviously know why. I received a phone call from somebody yesterday, and I'm not going to name them because that side of my family is unfortunately very evil. And they'll probably go snooping around anyway trying to figure out who told me. But that person from that side of my family talks to Larry and my uncle at least once every single month. When I say Larry, many of you already know, but if you don't know, I'm talking about Larry Fink. Larry is unfortunately my grandfather. I did have to clear things up on 2 separate occasions because a group on TikTok wanted to go around and say that I'm apparently some Rothschild. But anyways, I received a phone call explaining a lot about this sovereign wealth fund. Specifically how it's going to work, and I'm not entirely sure as to what I can really say on this app, but I can say that that side of my family is going to make a shit ton of money. Specifically my grandfather from the assets that his company manages. Notice how Scott Bessent, which was obviously confirmed by the US Senate to lead the US Treasury last month, was talking about the fund. Do keep in mind, Bessent has taken a positive view of crypto. But Bessent mentioned something that I don't think a lot of people actually paid attention to. He mentioned how they are going to monetize the asset side of the US balance sheet for the American people, saying also that they're going to put the assets to work. So let me explain something to you real quick, okay? And I'm not going to say too much about this, I'm just going to allow you to connect the dots. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager, okay? It holds over 11,000 Bitcoin. Do keep in mind, a year ago, I predicted that by January of 2025, Bitcoin will be at $100,000. People call me crazy, and that's fine. I've already seen the blueprints to this shit, so obviously I knew what was coming anyway. I did buy a couple of Bitcoin when they were a certain price. That's why I was able to obtain the 2 properties that I have now. But if you haven't looked into BlackRock's Bitcoin ETFs, which let's do keep in mind, allow investors to invest in Bitcoin, but without having to go through the hassle of using a cryptocurrency exchange, while providing leverage to its price, then I highly recommend that you do. This is just step 1 to what I've been trying to bring awareness to for well over a year now. And if you really want to open your eyes, or if you want me to do it, it'll probably be a 10-minute video, so just let me know beforehand. But if not, then I highly recommend that you go look into the Texas Stock Exchange that's being backed by BlackRock and Citadel Securities, and a couple of investors that for whatever reason I can't mention on this app. Now, step 2 isn't necessarily something I can mention on this app, unfortunately, so I'll be putting a little bit of it down in the comment section below. But if you want a deeper dive, then I highly recommend that you go head over to my X account and you watch the video that I'm going to be posting on there tomorrow. Because step 2 would definitely provide clarification as to what is going to happen afterwards. Which should be obvious, but it's not, because people unfortunately have too much faith in the US dollar. But if you don't see what's happening in the crypto world right now, all I can really do is just recommend that you start investing. I've done a couple videos throughout the last couple of months trying to tell you exactly what you need to be investing in. Unfortunately, those videos haven't necessarily met a certain algorithm. But if anybody wants me to do another video on it, I gladly will. Nonetheless, I see exactly what Larry is doing, and I thought it would have been a little bit different with Trump being president, but I guess I was wrong.
If you've been watching me since the beginning, I've been telling you guys to get in on XRP. Now the price is skyrocketed. That's all I buy.
It's Finland's greatest mystery. That's what they call it. There was like 4 teens camping one day, right? And there was this one survivor because this guy started everyone through their tent while they were camping. Only one guy survived. They put that guy in the hospital, right? Theory is they thought he was a kid. Yeah, because he had less wounds and then his shoes were kind of far away from the campsite. But that led to a whole trial where he was like, boom, boom, and he's not guilty, right? Yeah. So now they continue it. Put him in hypnotherapy. The police sketches out what he looks like. I'll show you how accurate the sketch was. This is the police sketch. Yeah. It was a crazy coincidence. That day, a guy that looks exactly like that sketch came into the hospital, blood on him, scratch marks, and the nurses were saying, oh, this guy looks like he's been running through the woods. Plot twist. Yeah. It wasn't him. Oh, he was innocent. Bam, he was connected to another case, but it wasn't this one. Oh, so he did something else. He did something else, right? Holy Finland's down terrible. That's what I'm saying. Till this day, that case,
cold.
Yeah, not found.
Oh, and for sure it's not the guy that survived.
Yeah. Look.
That's kind of crazy.
Fam, the exact same.
Wait, how did they know it wasn't him though?
They went through the test.
Like DNA tests and shit?
Yeah, they went through tests. They went through trials.
Okay.
Found out he wasn't guilty.
Damn.
People that I absolutely love watching. I love Mel Robbins.
There is a massive shift that happens in adult friendship when you hit 20.
I love Brené Brown.
Everyone says marriage should be 50-50. It's the biggest crock of bullshit I've ever heard. It's never 50-50.
I love Les Brown.
If you want a thing
Les
bad enough to go out
Brown.
and fight
I like
for
Les
it,
Brown.
to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it.
I also love Darren Brown, who's a magician. Very good with his body language.
We edit and delete. We choose what to think about, what to pay attention to, and we make up a story.
Simon Sinek is another person who is just an amazing communicator.
The real job of a leader is not about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in our charge.
They're just so dynamic with the way they communicate. But I would also recommend you study the people you really enjoy. Go watch a few communicators online and see who you like. Let me know in the comments who your favorite communicators are.
I'm with you on Brain Brown too. Brené Brown.
Y'all, this shit is crazy, fool. And this man's face is making it even crazier. The shit he said to this little kid, you don't say that shit, bruh. Not even as a joke.
I eat children. How old are you? Oh, okay, only to
Not The Rock. This man in on it too. But then again, it makes sense because after the WWE, this man became a star in Hollywood. Make it make sense, y'all. Now you ask yourself, for the people that be like, he was just joking, would you say that to a kid? I done seen people say, I fight kids. I ain't never heard somebody say they eat them. Y'all gotta realize, bro, they be doing this shit right in our faces. And it be people like you that be like, bro, he didn't really mean it. Or you really think that can happen? People really do that? Look at the world. You know how evil the world is? So why is it hard for you to believe something like that can happen? Just because that's your favorite wrestler? As always, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. This shit crazy, fool.
People will tell you the truth in jokes.
What if I told you there's a continent that exists outside the parameters of our sun? A place of eternal night, where an entire civilization lives in absolute darkness. Welcome to Panthea.
Where the hell is
Panthea?
That? Thousands of miles beyond the ice wall. Look, these people aren't cavemen. They're a fully functioning civilization, but one built without warmth, without mercy, without the distractions of color and joy. The Panthean capital, Nixara, is a sprawling city built from black stone and bioluminescent crystal. Its buildings towering like jagged monoliths into the sky.
This can't be real, man.
I wish it weren't. The Pantheons themselves are far more terrifying. They're a horrific biological offshoot of humanity, a version of us that evolved to survive in total darkness. Pale-skinned, almost translucent. Their eyes and bone density are about 5 times larger than the average human. Sickest part is they have energy harvesting farms. They survive off their own people.
What? It's true. I live there.
Police are in a standoff with a massive amount of protesters blocking the LA freeway who are refusing to leave until these demands are met. What started out as a large-scale planned protest against Trump in the city of Los Angeles quickly took a turn. Official reports say that thousands of people gathered in downtown LA, Riverside, and San Diego to protest Trump's mass deportation initiative. At first, the protest was small and legally cleared with the city. However, as more and more people showed up, the situation quickly deteriorated. Protesters waved signs saying "Fight ignorance, not immigrants," and "No human is illegal on stolen land." Then people began making their way onto the 101 freeway, with videos showing some people graffitiing the walls of the highway while others surrounded cars blocking them in. Not long after, huge amounts of LAPD showed up and blocked off the other side of the freeway. Then protesters sat on the road, physically shutting down all traffic, but it's not clear exactly what they want other than for Trump to immediately end his deportation program.
They're just making it easier for the catchers.
Come on, all that long. Please remain seated until further instructions by the captain. Oh my gosh. Please get us on. You cannot take your bags with you. You can't take them. You have to leave right here.
I watched the Netflix
What's going on with planes in the U.S.?
docuseries. It's called The Kings of Tupelo. And so there's this guy, Kevin Curtis, loves Elvis and is an Elvis impersonator. And it's not making enough money, so he starts working as a janitor. Hire him, and they even gets hired at a hospital. Kevin's working in the hospital, and they say, hey, there's a clog down in the morgue. So he goes down to the morgue, trying to clean it up, and he's getting thirsty because he's wearing a hazmat suit. And so he goes over to the fridge to see if there's any drinks. Inside the fridge is an arm, a leg, and a human head. And he starts talking to people. They're like, and no one's believing him. The hospital fires him. So he goes down this like crazy rabbit hole. He starts talking to a guy named James Everett, who's like a local politician guy, and nothing's working. And then one day, government officials and in the White House, Barack Obama, receive letters that are filled with ricin poison. Like when they looked into it, they found out that this Elvis impersonator was the guy who sent it. Literally, they pick him up and they take him to the police station, and they say, have you ever made ricin before? And he says, I don't even eat rice. And they're like, wait, what? They start asking him more questions. They're like, I don't think this guy's capable of doing this.
Wow.
It turns out the local politician, James Everett, framed this guy because he knew he owns 4 of the biggest funeral homes within Mississippi. Kevin was trying to write letters to say, hey, we need a pass to make sure this is not happening, and he shut it down.
Spoiler alert.
Ultra rich are ditching the Birkin for this bag, and they don't want you to know about it. The Row is an American luxury fashion label established by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen in 2006. Mary-Kate and Ashley were launched into the Hollywood machine at age just 9 months when they were used on the sitcom Full House, and they instantly became the most famous twins on the planet. After being the stars of countless TV shows and films, faces of a Walmart clothing line, and the front pages of endless gossip columns, it all started to become a little bit too much for them. They were desperate for a normal life, so they moved to New York to study at NYU. But after just 1 year, they dropped out after finding it hard to adapt. But the final straw that pushed them into hibernation came in 2008 with the death of Heath Ledger. Mary-Kate found herself in the middle of accusations that she could have been involved with the star's death, with conspiracies that still circle today. After her name was finally cleared, the twins went quiet. They created The Row in 2006, but for the first few years they were actually really unsure of the brands they wanted to create, and it was just a bit of a passion project for them. But after a couple of long, thoughtful years, they finally came up with a plan. They wanted The Row to reflect the new way that they were leading their life. Quiet, under the radar, and discreet. They made high quality, timeless pieces that could speak for themselves and needed no endorsement by celebrity figures to be shoved down consumers' throats. In taking this approach, they carved out a completely new lane in the luxury fashion industry and were the pioneers of the quiet luxury trend that we see today. Whilst running The Row, they also created Elizabeth and James, named after their other siblings, and Olsen Boy, a line that they created for JCPenney, which were both an instant hit in the States. But in 2011, Mary-Kate did something that she'd spent the last 3 years running away from. She returned to the big screen with Vanessa Hudgens to star in Beastly, a new adaptation of Beauty and the Beast, but with major delays in the launch date. When the movie came out, it was a total flop. The result came with an announcement from the twins that we would never see them on the big screen ever again. By 2012, with the brand now being 6 years old, it was already at the forefront of quiet luxury. But the wider fashion community found it hard to accept the 2 child stars as serious designers. But after 9 years of unarguable displays of talent, it became harder and harder to ignore, as their minimalist approach actually set them apart from the heritage houses like Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Dior, flooding the industry with these big eyesore logos you couldn't avoid. The Row refused to spend money on marketing, product placement, and celebrity endorsements, and believed that the customer would find their products if they were right for them. This type of approach made people intrigued, curious, and intimidated by the twins' mysterious allure. The Row were only known either by Olsen superfans or the ultra rich for many years, but they started to become more well known to the masses with the release of their Margot bag, which was released in 2018. The bag is a super basic design, priced at over £5,000 and never in stock. Remind you of anything? Like any archival timeless product. It takes a really long time for it to become a classic, but we have seen change in recent years, with new releasing products rapidly becoming fan favourites, or trends thanks to TikTok's algorithm, with it exploding the average person's videos and pretty much democratizing every single industry. The best way to sum up The Row in 2025 is known by many worn by few. And
I like
unlike
that.
the unlimited amount of fashion brands that have exploded into the limelight over the past couple of years, the mystique and unrealistic aspirations of owning something from the row makes you feel like the brand isn't going to burn out and plummet like other brands who have taken advantage of the social media algorithm in the last half decade. If you look at the list index of popularity, the row was first involved in the list in 18th place in 2023, and just 2 years later they're now 9th place, overtaking Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga and Coach. I don't actually think it's possible for many other people to create a quiet luxury brand with such huge success in such a short period of time. Let's be honest, the Olsen twins already had a huge platform. They were the most famous twins in the world, for God's sake. One of the sisters also married the French president at the time, adding to the brand's aspiration, intimidation and mysterious aura. But as the famous saying goes, when life gives you lemons, make a fashion brand.
Not my thing, but I like the slogan.
We were speaking about parallel universes.
Right. It's 7 of them.
How do they exist? I mean, how do we know there's parallel universes?
All right. Is that chair you sitting on solid?
Yeah.
It's an atom. That's not solid. It's 0.99999% solid, so it's not solid. It's moving, but you can't go through it yet unless you vibrate right. If you vibrate right, you'll go through that floor. You don't get it. We live in a magic world.
What?
The world's not real. When you sleep and when you awake, it's the same. But only thing when you come in this world, you get your taste. And in your other world, you don't get your taste. That's another universe too. I can control it, and you can too. Well, you do control it, you just don't know it yet. If you think something, and then you say something, and then you go do something, that's gonna happen. If you think like, I wanna be rich, then you're gonna be rich if you start moving like you're rich. So it's kind of like you get to choose. The one thing I like about life, right? Because you get to choose.
So when we dream, what is that?
I like
Going
that.
to that dimension, right? You're supposed to bring information back from there. See, a lot of people just dream and they get up and say, I just had this dream, and they don't understand they're supposed to use that information. Because you kind of like got that from God.
What about the dreams that you can remember it vividly, but it's like gone in a split second, right?
That's when it kind of get confusing. Like, I don't know if I sleep when I'm awake or when I'm sleeping when I'm awake. I kind of like those.
This guy, you know, the people that seem crazy has the most sense.
You know, there's a theory too. Like in the first Lion King, not a lot of people pick this up.
Okay.
But you know how when Mufasa died, Scar kills him. People thought that when Scar became king, the drought happened and it was just a terrible kingdom, right?
Oh, okay.
The reason that happened, the reason the kingdom was doomed to fail, wasn't because of Scar, was because of Simba leaving.
Oh.
Yeah. So remember when Mufasa was on the big rock and he told Simba, look as far as the eye can see.
Yeah.
Everything the light touches is our kingdom. Right? He said
So
that.
he
So wherever Simba or wherever the rightful heir of the kingdom is, becomes the kingdom. So when Simba left and he was chilling with Simone and
That's the new kingdom.
that became the new kingdom. And how were they living? Abundance of food, abundance of everything. They're happy as shit. The weather was nice.
Yeah.
But what happened back in Big Rock? It was
Drought.
Yeah, it was drought, and there was no, and people were dying. And there was no food. It was because the kingdom is wherever the king is.
Ooh.
The kingdom isn't necessarily your location. It's wherever the king is.
That translates to.
But isn't Scar the true king though?
Copper helps to get rid of gray hair. Copper helps to restore your body's natural hair color. Copper's the #1 deficiency on the planet. 94+% of all people are copper deficient. Most become so copper deficient by the age of 30 or 40, they start to lose their hair and their hair's natural color. Because if the salt has lost its flavor, what good is it or what happens to it? Might become bald or gray. People are losing their hair and their hair color more than ever before. Because if the salt has lost its flavor, what happens to it? Why, we're told to salt every offering, Leviticus 2:13. Magnesium found in salt also helps to regrow and remineralize and put that natural color back into your hair. It's also why we're told to eat the animals with the split hoof that chew the cud, Leviticus 11, because they're the most copper, magnesium, iron-dense foods on the planet, and they help to solve the top 3 deficiencies on the planet. Solve those 3 deficiencies, solve your hair loss or your gray hair issue. Start taking beef liver after every meal. Start with 1/4 gram after every meal for the first week, 1/2 gram after every meal for the second week, 3/4 of a gram after every meal for the third week. This is going to fix that copper deficiency. Follow the protocols that we made you in the Health Bible and at jacobslink.com for full restoration of your immune system, or hit the link in the bio.
You know, best copper supplement, or is it better to eat copper rich foods?
This is the best flat earth proof, and why no one can drill through Antarctica. The ice wall is alive, and it's hiding something. NASA says satellites orbit in space, but why do 8,000-pound balloon rigs float at the edge of our dome instead? Why does Antarctica's ice wall heal itself when drilled, like a cosmic scab? And why do rockets launch only to hit a liquid sky that ripples like water? They claim we've mapped space, but 85% of our oceans are unexplored. Priorities, right? Earth isn't a lonely rock. It's a sealed flat plain. Satellites, balloons tethered to the dome, Antarctica's ice, a living barrier guarding the edge, that blue sky, water above the firmament, mirroring the 60% water in your body. They fake space because the truth, we're enclosed, would collapse their trillion-dollar CGI industry. Google high-altitude NASA balloons. They're right there, dangling tech over Earth, not space. Teams tried drilling Antarctica's ice for decades, only to hit sky ice that regenerates. Rockets, they don't escape. They splash against the dome like pebbles in a pond. And undersea cables, proof we don't need satellites when the real grid is under our feet. If you're done swallowing orbit fairy tales, hit follow. This is for entertainment purposes.
Let me know how you feel about this, folks.
Melania Trump's new White House portrait for looking more like a guest in The Apprentice, they wrote, or a freelance magician than a first.
A magician, you don't say. I guess it's just a coincidence that her portrait over here looks exactly like the Seal of Solomon. For those who do not know, this is the Great Seal of Solomon, which of course goes back to esoteric occult knowledge. So now, as you saw with that photo, the double triangle of Solomon is represented by the ancients of the Kabbalah. I'm sure this right here is just a coincidence, how Ivanka Trump was caught wearing the red string of Kabbalah. And for those who do not know the red string Kabbalah, you can see this right here, how wearing a thin scarlet or crimson string is a type of talisman. And this is a Jewish folk custom which is practiced as a way to ward off misfortune which is brought about by the evil eye. And as we can see right here, this tradition is associated with the Kabbalah. And for those who do not know what the Kabbalah is, it is a form of Jewish mysticism that adds spiritual depth to Jewish practice, knowledge, and text. And as we can see down here, it is all about esoteric knowledge. And that's what you are seeing right here with this esoteric symbolism, where we can see this Seal of Solomon is all about the duality, the God of light and the God of reflections, mercy and vengeance, the white Jehovah and the black Jehovah, the as above, so below. And of course, this esoteric symbolism would not be complete without the obelisk behind her. You know, the same obelisk that likes to reflect off the water in Washington, D.C. that gives the as above, so below symbolism. That is exactly 555 feet tall, which happens to be 6,660 inches tall. And how we also know that the obelisk has been associated with the occult. And as we can see in ancient Egypt, the obelisk was a symbol of the phallus, or more specifically, the phallus of Osiris. And of course, her photo is done in black and white, once again symbolizing the duality. And it's also seen in Freemasonry with their checkerboard floors. And of course, she had to wear her black and white Saturn hat at the inauguration, which was performed right here, underneath the apotheosis of Washington, which is all about ascending and becoming a god. And of course, George Washington here is giving the as above, so below symbolism, which they are very blatant with showing off. But this should not be a surprise to anybody because he was a Freemason first, and then the first president of the United States. Now, I could keep going, but I wanted to make a shorter video here for you guys to understand the symbolism is everywhere. And they don't try to hide it. They put it right in your face because they are mocking us. Yep. But through it all, it's going to be critical that we keep our eyes focused upon the Lord, realizing that we are in hostile territory, that the enemy is everywhere, and they operate through deception and manipulation. So with that being said, take the commandment that Jesus left us with to be as wise as a serpent and innocent and gentle as a dove, taking heed that nobody deceives you and that you rest in the Lord and you lean upon him for all understanding and wisdom. And I really cannot stress to you guys enough right now how hostile this world is, how the enemy is literally everywhere, and we need to be on guard. We need to be wise as a serpent, but gentle and innocent as a dove. And the only way we can do this is by resting in the Lord, leaning upon Him, and seeking Him with a sincere heart postured towards Him, guys. Really abide in Him, in His love, and His grace and mercy, and really walk by faith, not by sight. So with that, guys, I love y'all so much. God bless. Remember, the just shall live by faith.
The very elite will be fooled. Time is short, folks. Keep close to Christ.
The right demon, this spirit is very unique from other spirits because the way it presents itself is through Polaroid pics.
Oh,
have you heard that story?
No.
So this happened in LA. There was a guy, his dad gave him a Polaroid camera, right? One night he was walking to the washroom during night and the door opened randomly. I don't know what made him do this, but the camera that his dad got him, he took a picture of the door, and I'll show you what it looked like. It was like a
and
white,
it's like a face.
yeah,
in it, right?
No, it was like a white light. He thought it was a fluke, right?
Yeah.
So next day he calls his friend over. Oh, can you take a picture of me beside the door? Boom. Still like a white light,
Yeah,
but
like
it's
a
the
white
same
thing.
shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy decides to invite all his friends. Let's start taking pictures around the house. Now the pictures start forming. It's not just white light.
Yeah.
One of his friends in the group say, let me ask it a question and then snap a pic. So he's like, is a spirit here?
What the?
Fam, you can see that so clear.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Now it goes from
Blobs,
shapes
yeah.
to I can answer questions now. Yes.
What?
What is your name?
Federal investigators
No way.
combing through charred debris after a medical transport plane nosedived and exploded near a mall and neighborhoods in northeast Philadelphia.
Ooh.
The crash sending people scrambling for cover. Taking off from northeast Philadelphia Airport Friday, the Learjet was in the air for less than a minute before it crashed, killing one person on the ground and all 6 Mexican citizens on board, including Liseth Murillo Osuna and her daughter Valentina Guzman Murillo, who was 11 years old, according to Jet Rescue Air Ambulance. They were heading home to Mexico after 4 months of treatment at Shriners Children's Hospital.
What?
The fiery explosion also injured 22 others, according to officials. Andre Howard says his 10-year-old son was struck in the head with metal while trying to protect his younger sister.
We're supposed to be home relaxing, and we're here fighting for his life.
Beyond the yellow tape along Cotman Avenue, as many as 11 homes significantly damaged in the crash. Now,
That's
in this
crazy,
shaking
man.
community, the long road to recovery underway.
Do not trust the gateway tapes. If you've already used them a ton, you are probably ready to ignore everything that I'm about to say, but please wait until you hear what this guy discovered. His account is Museum of Tarot. I'm going to link it down in the description. Please go check out all of his deep dives on this topic, but for now, here are the cliff notes. There are rumors that the tapes we have access to right now are not the same as the ones Monroe originally created, and this guy got his hands on the original tapes and compared them to the ones that you and I are most likely using, and guess what? They are not identical. He also dug through the patents behind the HemiSync technology and discovered that it is not just a simple binaural beat inducing these experiences, which is most likely what you thought it was. It also entrains your brain on specific pre-recorded EEG patterns. Why is that important? This technology has been shown to manipulate a person's thoughts and experiences even remotely. One experiment showed that it had success 6,000 kilometers away. This next one really bothers me because I have read all 3 of Monroe's books twice, but apparently some of his close associates also wrote their own books, and in there they detail how Monroe's experiences were less than authentic, and most of them were artificially induced. Not to mention the fact that if you do some digging into his close associates and business partners, some of them were directly involved in super experiments. So super, in fact, that you might even call them ultra. If you are still not convinced that these tapes need to be handled with caution, then I will make a part 2 about what I have personally discovered with the Gateway experience. And ultimately, I'm not telling you what to do, and if you have alternate theories about all of this, I would love to hear them.
I don't know if I believe this, but it's interesting to note that AirPods are reading your mind when you have them in. And you cannot do the Gateway tapes without headphones. It's gonna be crazy. Yup, there's a fight that's been coming for a while.
You know, this is why I tell you guys there are books that you must read. You must read Hollywood Babylon to understand that it has always been this way. You must also read The Assault on Truth by Jeffrey Mason. I told you about this guy who was working at the Sigmund Freud archives. The key to all of this is understanding Sigmund Freud psychology, gaslighting. The black propaganda is essentially gaslighting people, right? And understanding that Sigmund Freud, the people that created PR, that created propaganda in America, it's all the same family. They know exactly what they're doing. They are trying to mentally break you when they do these things. And they are now targeting Justin Bieber. And he's not the only one, right? Kanye had to get out, lost his whole family, was called crazy 1,000 different ways. Or you end up like Britney Spears and they severely medicate you. If you try to speak out about anything, it's like, look how crazy she is. But they're actually trying to drive you to the brink of crazy. And if they don't do that, they're just going to try to destroy your reputation. That is what is going on with Justin Bieber. Similarly, Russell Brand. When Russell Brand was a drug addict and a sex addict, Hollywood loved him. Suddenly he gets clean, he gets married, he has kids, he's sober, he's talking politics, and worst of all, he's talking Jesus Christ. And what do they say? Oh, you know what, 20 years ago, actually, when he was a sex addict, it looks like he may have raped someone. That's what Hollywood does. If you're damaged goods, they want you because they can control you. If you're not damaged anymore, then they're going to try to attack you and other mechanisms because they can't have you revealing the secrets of Hollywood. So we're speaking about Justin Bieber today because he's making some interesting moves. He has currently moved to unfollow his entire previous management team. He's unfollowed Scooter Braun. He has unfollowed Allison Kay, who is his former general manager. He has unfollowed Ryan Good. To be clear, Usher brought on Ryan Good to be Justin Bieber's road manager. And he has also even followed Kenny Hamilton, who was his longtime bodyguard. With everything that we know about bodyguards, things that are coming up in this Diddy case, the weird connection to the Michael Jackson case with bodyguards, it begs the question, why would...
Who runs Hollywood? 3 guesses. Put them in the comment, folks, please.
When you're driving into Branson, Missouri, there's this valley in these Ozark Hills, and there's just it's a row of mansions, all abandoned.
Ew.
Literally never lived in, just wide open mansions right outside of Branson, Missouri. It's an eerie sight, especially when there's the fog in the lower valley, and they're really pretty houses, but it's just all grown up. It's weeds and trees all around them, and it's so weird.
It's because I'd rather live in a cardboard box in Florida than a mansion in Branson, Missouri.
Shout out to all of our Branson, Missouri fans.
I just remember when we went there and I was just like...
You went there in January, of course you did.
Like nobody was doing anything.
It's literally the Las Vegas of the Midwest, and you went there during their off season. Missouri in the wintertime is terrible.
The FBI is like constantly warning us that there is an imminent cyber attack that is.
Yeah, I keep hearing about it. What's going on with that?
Someone from Congress said that there is a imminent threat that threatens national security that is classified, and they're trying to get President Biden to declassify it. Last week, Russia launched a rocket into space, and this satellite thing that they put into space, or this craft, has nuclear capabilities on it.
Cool.
No one knows what my glasses are doing right in front of their face. So most people don't understand just how much you can do with open source smart glasses. There are literally hundreds of developers making apps for this. So I'm gonna show you 3 of my glasses' most unique apps you just can't use on other smart glasses. The last one was a game changer. 3. Instant Riz. So technically this is an app that takes a photo and sends that with any custom saved prompt to Google's AI. But I've set it to quietly feed me lines based on someone's appearance.
Wow.
2 mini maps. So this gives you turn-by-turn directions from Google Maps. Because I don't know about you, but I never trust the voice instructions for turning left or right. I usually need to see them too. 1 offline translation. So much faster than sending a translation request to an AI on the other side of the world. And waiting in silence gets awkward. You can get these here because on...
Man, that's awesome. What are the best budget smart glass? Because I don't think I have found a pair under $500. Way out my budget.
80s and 90s kids will understand. We definitely had this dish for dinner back in the day. When there was no bread, this was our solution. All the best food we had as kids came from that casserole pot. Today's kids just won't get it. There was something about a salad in a wooden bowl that made it taste different. Then, there were the desserts, rolled up in toilet paper tubes. Honestly, the taste of the paper tube was more memorable than the actual ice cream. Some kids thought butter rum was the best flavor, while others would only share that one. Reese's in those beautiful, beautiful
I know
ball
this one.
forms disappeared in 2004. I swear that was the perfect popcorn. The original yogurt has been gone for a few years now. We had to do hard labor just to open those candy wrappers. The alpha and omega of chips have been gone since the 90s. The world just couldn't handle a Skittle that you could chew forever. Hard to believe, right?
We still have
But
this.
it's true. They've been gone for a few years. Do you
I think-
remember
I
the
think
taste
so.
of all these?
Most of these are, from America, right?
Give me 10 weeks. I'll change your life in 10 weeks. And my thing was, I can do anything for 10 weeks. I'll give this guy 10 weeks and see what happens. It didn't even take 10 weeks. Once you start to get in a few weeks of doing what you said to do, I started to feel the difference immediately. You didn't think you could feel this good. Start to feel great. You start to feel younger, more energetic. Pain in your legs starts to go away. You're not snoring anymore. You're not waking up choking and coughing in the middle of the night. All this stuff started to go away. Everything that you were saying, you were proving to me.
You were like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I was like, you don't feel amazing, you feel normal. It's what normal's supposed to feel like.
How can the average guy do it?
The life we had in the 90s is something kids today will never experience. Back then, we'd put our hands near the TV and instantly
Yep.
feel the static.
Yep.
Plus, there was this unique smell that came with it. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And even though the TV was off,
Yep.
it would randomly make a loud popping
Mhm.
noise in the middle of the night. The Weather Channel in the 90s had a completely different vibe. It was oddly calming. Simple graphics, smooth jazz playing in the background. The moment you turned it on, it just made you feel relaxed. Saturday morning cartoons were the highlight. We'd eat our cereal and just enjoy those perfect, carefree moments. As for movies, we watched them on VHS
Aladdin.
tapes.
Yeah,
Opening up a brand new
VHS.
tape, just hearing that sound was pure happiness.
Yep, I remember that.
If the movie was long, it usually came on 2 tapes because, well, Netflix didn't exist back then.
Mhm.
We'd go to Blockbuster to
Blockbuster.
rent them. Speaking of Blockbuster, just walking down the aisles back then felt so satisfying. Do you miss those days?
Let this video get.
You know what? 90s was the perfect blend of technology and humanity.
To anybody it needs to get to. If you are in America and you are paying attention to what has transpired in the last couple of days, there's something that I want you to pay attention to. And maybe it's just me. Maybe watching the world could be something that is troubling at times. But I want you to pay attention to the amount of troops who have been sent down to the border. Are you guys watching how many troops have been sent down to the border? The Mexico-American border. Do you understand what that means? Because the number is pretty interesting. The reason is even more interesting. But it's not my job to open your eyes. It's my job to point you in the direction of what you need to be looking at. Pay attention to the border. I'm out.
Faith over fears, my American friends.